Hello, and welcome to Introducing Me. I'm your host, Sarah. I started this podcast to get to know other people and lifestyles while discovering more about myself. Each episode, I will give a new guest a chance to discuss their background, culture, interests, or whatever they want to talk about to help increase all of our own worldviews. Today, I would like to introduce you to Kent Weishaus. He is a licensed social worker with a previous career in television production. He recently released his book, Stop Breaking Down: How to Avoid Overwhelm and Crack Up. So Kent's got a lot of experience in a lot of things. So I'm excited to hear from him today, see what he's going on. So thank you so much, Kent. Why don't you go ahead and tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm honored to have been asked on. My previous career was in television production for a little over a quarter of a century. And then in around 2006, I decided it was not really working for me, not so much financially. I was making a fair amount of money, but just spiritually, morally, I needed to do something that had more meaning and more positive value. So I made a switch. I went back to college, got a master's degree, eventually became licensed in the state of California in social work. And now I am a therapist in private practice. And I've recently written a book, written largely through the pandemic. Is kind of my own therapy, but it's called Stop Breaking Down: The Secret to Avoiding Overwhelm and Crack Up. And as I said, it was largely for my own therapy, but then as I completed it a year or so ago, I realized there's a lot of valuable stuff here. And I tried to reorganize it such that it could be available to many people in terms of how I wrote it and so on.
Right. We've got a lot of places we can go in conversation. I'd like to kind of go chronologically. I think that makes sense today. Can you talk a little bit about this career in television production that you had for so long before you decided, morally and spiritually, you wanted to make a change and help people?
Yeah, sure. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, I started working in TV. I was funny. I went to school in Northern California, and then I moved back home to my hometown of Los Angeles, and I had a theater background. My original degree was in theater arts, and then I gravitated towards television. Started working for a man named Dick Clark for a couple of years, and went on to various other shows after that, and did a sitcom for a little while. Another dance show, countdown dance show for some time, a number of Disney specials that I was associate producer on. And then eventually I wound up as the associate producer of the Arsenio Hall show, read the original one back in around 1990. And after that, various other shows that were mostly tabloid oriented, not entirely, but I went, the low-hanging fruit seemed to be tabloid television, and that's largely what led me into disillusionment and going into a different direction.
And so what is it like being an associate producer? Like, what does your sort of day-to-day look like, or like, what are you bringing to the shows?
A lot of it is hiring crew, arranging, making deals with crew, and then budgeting, doing a budget for what it's going to cost and a budget report for how it came in. It's funny, 30, 40 years ago, my title was associate producer. Now these people are line producers. The titles have all sort of morphed over the last few years. much of what I did was actually kind of therapeutic. I worked a lot with crew, trying to help them keep balance with different politics going on within different shows, and also running interference between the people who were my bosses and what the needs of the crew or talent were. So. And also, I should say, I did produce a show of my own, which actually did not. It was getting ready to air and did not test well, so the plug was pulled. So.
And so, was that like when that show was pulled and it didn't air? Was that close to when you decided to leave, or was it kind of in the middle of the career somewhere?
It was close to it. I had already been having ideas that maybe this wasn't the healthiest thing to be putting out into the world, all this programming. Actually, the show that was pulled was going to be a reality show about having to do with high school students. And in retrospect, it's probably a good idea that it was pulled. That was after that, though. I worked on shows like Hard Copy, Entertainment Tonight. I worked for E! Entertainment Television, and just came to understand that it was not a good. It was not healthy. What I was putting out into the world was not. I won't say it was blanketly unhealthy, but it was probably doing more harm than good. So,
right, it wasn't kind of giving that value add to kind of personal mental education, whereas now you've switched into the line of social work. So, what was it like going back to get a master's? Not in your 20s and having to work to being a licensed social worker.
Well, going back to school for me was really great. I wasn't sure of how I was going to do, but I just gobbled everything up. It was like I was hungry for knowledge and new theories and new ways of looking at the world, new ways of understanding the world, and social work was a perfect fit as far as a profession to follow and a degree to get. I actually got straight A's all through my master's classes, and so I was in my mid 50s when I went back, and it worked out quite well. I enjoyed it quite a bit, much more than I thought I would. I remember at one point I was in danger of getting a B in a certain class. And and my wife said, it's okay if you get a B. You don't have to get all A's. So I really enjoyed it. Compared to my 20s, I enjoyed school in my 20s, but it was much more of a chaotic time where I wasn't as concerned with soaking up the knowledge as I was later in life.
And so then what was the transition into having your own private practice?
Well, I had various internships, including 2 in mental hospitals, which were also tremendous learning experiences. Things that you read about, you see sensationalized in media. When you're there in the trenches, it's a very different experience. And so, I was actually, those were both really good experiences. If I wanted to work that hard again, I probably would go back to working in mental hospitals. And then another one was at a community clinic in South LA, which was also a very good experience. After that, I accumulated on the ground hours, basically, is what's required by the licensing board, and eventually applied for my license and got it. I worked at a school a little bit after that, and then transitioned into a private school, actually, and then transitioned into a private practice shortly after that.
So you mentioned kind of the sensational aspect that, the public might see from a mental hospital. And of course, having worked in television, you're aware of, what media puts out there. Would you be willing to share a little bit of like what it is actually like in a mental hospital, or at least the ones that you were able to intern with?
Well, it's interesting you ask, because this dovetails into a lot of what my book is about. That people become unable to cope, and in the modern world. Now, I'm not going to say everybody that was in there was there because of that, but a lot of people, I think, were faced with not just the overwhelming input of media and traffic and modern world noise and stimulation, but also where we've come as far as wealth redistribution. That there is a noticeable point. The baby boomers were born into perhaps the greatest wealth redistributive time in history. Between 1940 and 1980, top tax brackets were very, very high, and that all got undone. And consequently, now slowly but surely, between 80 and now, you have the erosion of middle class, and what I experienced was a number of people with poverty nipping at their feet, falling out of the middle class, which is a whole new kind of stressor. One of the authorities in my book, Nobel Prize winning psychologist named Daniel Kahneman, talks about the endowment effect, meaning once you have something that you believe is yours, it's extremely distressing to see it taken away, evaporate slowly but surely. And I think many people now are dealing with cognitive and mental stresses as their middle class status is slowly being chipped away at. In the mental hospital experience, there was a fair amount of that. People who had become recently homeless. I remember one case where a person had parked their motorhome they were living in, the last place they were able to live, and it was towed away, and they were now for the first time homeless, and it was real illumination, real eye opening for me.
Definitely. Now, are these sort of topics the same sort of work you're doing in private practice, or do you have a different focus?
My clients are mixed. Some of them are struggling greatly financially, living on disability, things like that. Others are affluent, upper middle class, and some are downright wealthy. But most of them fall between, doing okay middle class and close to destitution.
And are your services able to be approved by health insurance, that people who are struggling financially, if they have insurance, can use that? Or is there some sort of like safeguards that the people who need it and might not be able to afford it can still get help?
Well, we get into a very thorny area here. Yes, I take two different insurances that over the years I've come to understand are much easier to deal with than most insurances. And so I've rejected the others, which I think is the experience of many therapists. If an insurance pays relatively well and is easy to deal with, And you don't have to invest a lot of cognitive energy in dealing with them. You take them because you want to save that cognitive energy for your clients. People who are on Medi-Cal, Medicaid, the rest of the country calls it, do have different choices, but many of them do not provide consistently good choices. I'm happy to say the counties that I work in, one of them, Riverside County, has a really good way of channeling their Medi-Cal, Medicaid into an insurance called Inland Empire Health Program, which does a really good job. Riverside County and that program are outliers in my experience. Most other counties I have looked at have very fragmented manifestations of low-income insurance that don't pay well and that provide plenty of hurdles for practitioners to deal with, as well as people to sign up for that matter.
I do feel like sometimes living in the States that like California is its own little progressing further ahead in certain things. So, the fact that some counties have better access than others, just kind of speaks to the whole chasm of the states.
Yes. Yeah. And the whole state of medical insurance in general, fragmentation, extremely fragmented.
Yes. And you mentioned kind of I don't remember how you phrased it, but sort of the mental load and the reasons why you accept some insurance and not because you want to focus on your patients. So being in a private practice, are you sole proprietor that you're doing everything, or do you have additional support?
I pretty much do everything. I do have a billing service that helps me with a big chunk of it. And I feel bad about paying them too much money, but at the same time, I don't feel that bad because a lot of the cognitive load on me, they take over. So, and that is worth something.
And exactly. When you talk about, mental well-being and balancing everything, getting rid of that cognitive load, I'm sure is great. Now, do you have any sort of like retirement plans? Are you going to continue working at the same level of clients since you had a 25 plus year career already?
Right. Well, funny you should ask. I call myself semi-retired. I only work 2 days a week. And really 2 half days a week if I can do it. I am privileged enough to have saved enough money from my previous career and done well in real estate such that I don't have to work more than that. My wife also has a good career kind of in show business as well, and which is up and down for her, but yeah, so I'm semi-retired. I try not to take new clients. If people may listen to this and may want to try and see me as a practitioner, it's extremely unusual that I take new clients.
So when did you kind of like stop taking new clients, sort of in the career of first getting clients?
It's interesting. Just before COVID hit, I had made a decision to scale way back. And then COVID hit, and those plans were scuttled because people were really distressed. And I took a number of more clients during that early first year of COVID, 2020. But now I'm trying to, as people graduate out, people get better, and I'm trying to, after they leave, I'm trying not to take new ones, as opposed to what I did before, which was, I've got a vacancy, I can take a new person.
And so how did COVID sort of change your workload besides for the influx of people? Were you doing remote work? Were you doing in person? Like what sort of tangible services changed?
Good question. Yeah, it all went to remote for me, which changed the equation drastically. Prior to that, I had made plans to work every other week and see people in person prior to COVID in my office, and when almost immediately when COVID hit, it all went to virtual. And in the last 18 months or so, I have seen people in person, but it's very infrequent. Those are outlying sessions now, whereas it is normal now to do it all virtually for me.
Right. Now, you mentioned earlier a little bit of kind of why you decided to write this book in sort of everything you've experienced. So can you talk a little bit about writing the book and kind of switching from the I'm writing this to myself to I want to publish this and get it out there to more people?
I was trying to make sense out of more and more people's diverging views of our world. In other words, I feel like I grew up and flourished in a world where there was a mostly common view that what I talk about in the book is intersubjectivity. So we're all subjective creatures, but we're interlaced subjectively so that we see things in a common way. And I was trying to make sense of why is this unraveling? Why do we not see things in such a common way anymore? And it's becoming more and more acute. I don't want to talk about politics, though that was quite distressing to me, as opposed to individuals struggling with functioning. And I think there is an overlap where divergent views, which are becoming extremely divergent views, which are becoming more and more common, I think is affecting quite a few people negatively, just in terms of their functioning. These are some of the ways they're manifesting in my clients.
And so does your book kind of go through kind of like explaining those sort of viewpoints of the world and then like how to cope with and like work through such diverging views?
Well, one thing that many people, many very intelligent and important people have written and theorized about why people struggle and cognitively, functionally. First of all, I tried to step back. Social work trains people in systems thinking, systems theory. So I tried to employ that and step back. It occurred to me with some studies that human cognition, human consciousness is a self-aware consciousness. In the book, I call it I-me mine consciousness. Canadian researcher and professor named Endel Tulving calls it autonoetic consciousness, as opposed to what he conjectures animals have, noetic. So a self-aware I-me mine consciousness versus a more noetic consciousness, which is, I struggle to put this into words, but again, I'm not claiming to have proof of this. I theorize that animals experience, cats, dogs, elephants, whales experience events as something happening. This is, pain is, hunger is, eating is, right? As opposed to us humans, I am eating, I'm feeling pain, and it's personal. You give me pain. And so we we have the ability for abstract thinking, which again is, I theorize, is largely different from animals. We can think about the future, we can ruminate on the past, and we create stories about the here and now. And the big part of that is that we create stories. I suspect animals do not create stories. Something is or is not. Something is nurturing or something is harmful. Move towards the nurturing, move away from the harmful. And so in writing the book, I wanted to explore this. I wanted to explore how self-aware autonoetic consciousness is both a source of great strength for the human race because we are able to collaborate and have a common vision, a common pro-social vision where we invent things and share them. And we've taken over most of the world, for better or worse. But at the same time, I suspect it is the source of most of our quote unquote neuroses. So the stories we tell ourselves become many times distorted stories. And as we repeat them, these distorted stories, they feel more and more true because we're able to repeat them. It's not that something simply is, as a dog might see it. It is, this bad thing is happening to me, or this bad thing happened to me, and I'm going to keep thinking about it. It's going to always, and as we ruminate on the past, this does have an effect on our viscera, our muscles, and our bones. The sort of bottoms up part of us that is connected to our cognitive parts. As we think about these things, they remain fresh in our body, as opposed to animals who tend to shake things off. If they survive a cataclysm, they'll shake it off and move on. Now, there may be a schema imprinted on their brain that says danger at that water hole, right? But it's not, they're trying to kill me over there. It's just, don't go there. And so, again, this is all theory, but I don't see anyone else examining the I, me, mine, autonoetic, self-aware consciousness as a source of our both tremendous strengths, but also great vulnerabilities as a species.
Yeah, and it's very fascinating to hear you talk about this theory and kind of how it works through it, because like as someone with zero background in any sort of mental health, social work, anything like that, it's not something I necessarily think about, but it's something that like I can understand and can appreciate and realize, like, you know, life has changed. People's mindsets have changed. What is the mental health reaction to all of that?
Right. And I try and point out a history in the book that really, when you look at just our recent history, it's only been in the last 100 years that we've had to deal with an onslaught of media. It was the late 19th century that photographs became a way of quickly sharing images. The early 20th century, radio. Shortly after that, the two were merged, film and sound. And now anybody with a phone has got a way of making a movie and sharing an idea instantly. And so hundreds of millions of ideas are being shared as we speak. And this is brand new for our species. In other words, previously, you can go back to Gutenberg's invention of the printing press 500 or so years ago, 550, I think, where suddenly printed words were a way of more rapidly sharing ideas. Because before that, it was just one-to-one. or maybe going to a theatrical setting and having an idea shared. But other ideas were shared one-to-one, perhaps in coffee houses or where people congregated. But so books started making ideas shareable more universally, but it took a long time for people to become literate. And then again, early 20th century, these things start to coalesce in film, audio, to the point where now we all have this ability to share things immediately across the planet. And I don't know that we're ready for that, developmentally or evolutionarily.
Yes, it did all happen very quickly. And as someone who's lived not through a lot of it, but has just like kind of seen the repercussions and like grown with the advancement of technology at this rapid pace, that like I realize that people who are generations above me like don't have those same experiences. It is, it is a sticking point in even just communication and interaction, let alone mental health.
Yeah. So I began to think that this onslaught of ideas, along with just urban life, and even, small towns are 150, 200,000 people now. There's a certain amount of urban noise and experiences that, again, just 100 years ago were foreign to us. 120 years ago were foreign to us. And so we, just in the last 3 or 4 generations, have had to rapidly and quickly adapt to both sensory stimulation as well as cognitive stimulation. And, I know there's no turning back, but I would like, I guess if there's anything that I'd like to accomplish with the book, is to point people towards slowing down their thinking about their thinking, to examine, and other people's thinking, to examine what are distortions, what is happening inside my body as a reaction to this stimulation, whether it's sensory or cognitive. How can I step back and examine the story I'm telling myself or the story I'm being told? It's a huge challenge, but the ability to at least being able to increase doing that to some degree, I think, will help us. And then I go into other sort of longer term approaches. Attachment theory is a theory that is not widely understood, although I understand it's gaining traction on places like TikTok and so on. It's not widely understood, but attachment theory with attachment styles, both for young people and adults, statistically, it's been shown a more secure attachment is a predictor. Doesn't mean it's one causes the other. Just statistically, it's more likely it's a predictor of more social, rather pro-social behavior, that people are able to modulate their own behavior more when they have experienced a more secure attachment in youth. And not that can't be changed also as an adult. If someone grew up with a less than secure attachment as an adult, it can still be altered so that more pro-social and self-regulatory experiences can be had. So the book talks a lot about that.
Yeah, and I think it's great to, have that exploration in your book, and, to get the preview of some of these bigger ideas. And you've mentioned a couple different, professionals in, these sort of works. So it sounds like maybe that you're, continuing to learn as time goes on, and you're also connecting with other professionals to make sure you have a good understanding. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, in several different ways. The, there are professionals who I read their work pretty regularly. I look out for it and I read it. Now, I'm not going to say I know them personally, but people like Bessel van der Kolk, Peter Levine, uh, Brene Brown, um, several others that Daniel Siegel. These are great thinkers who I follow them pretty regularly. I do have a group of colleagues that I meet with regularly as well, and we share ideas. One of the groups that I meet with, we are all EMDR practitioners, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing practitioners, and so we meet to discuss uh, a lot of various different ways of improving our work with clients. And I generally bring in the self-aware consciousness part to those meetings.
Yes, and it sounds like, a good network of people. And so you've found yourself, some comfort in this field. Have you ever thought at all about any sort of going back into television production or similar styled fields?
Yes, I, I so a couple of years ago, I had a project that I'd started a couple of decades ago that I thought this is a valuable project, and it was about. I won't get into it, but it was historically about a female in the 19th century who lived in a patriarchal, male-dominated world, and she achieved great success on her own. Her name was Suzanne Valadon. She was a contemporary of Renoir's and Picasso, and a number of other impressionist based themed artists, and she achieved great success on her own later in life, especially. And I thought, okay, I'd like to develop some kind of film or miniseries about her because she was she stood out, and so I shopped this around with former colleagues, and it's still being shopped around a little bit, but I don't have great hopes for it. And then I guess I'll say, yeah, people approach me from time to time, old friends or colleagues approach me from time to time and ask me what I think about this project or that. I have one thing right now that I'm trying to help an old friend get off the ground just by connecting him with other former colleagues. So.
And do you consume a lot of television or movies or media in general?
I hate to admit it, but I do. This may be the result of my own aging process, but I really enjoy historical fiction that's more based on history than fiction, and then various comedy things that help me unwind.
But not the reality sort of
No,
TV.
no, 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 no. I think you asked one of your other guests, "Where do you get your news?" And I laughed when I heard you ask that. I only get my news from reading and several different sources. So now and then, I will stick my toe into social media pointed towards a news item just to see what's being bandied about. But social media and media in general, they focus on outlying events and magnify them such that they become what Daniel Kahneman calls quite available, and as well as they anchor us into a certain point of view, so that if we see car crashes, political events, people being shamed over and over and over and over and over with multiple comments about it. Suddenly, this is just very normal and happens all the time, and it's all around me. And in fact, they're outlying events, and they distort our thinking. And so, again, it's just important to step back and go, okay, well, I'm seeing this event 100 different times in the last hour. How is this a distortion? How is this an outlying event? How is this influencing my thinking?
Definitely something to be aware of and keep in mind of, especially on social media. You know, there's always the joke, you know, if you see it on Facebook, it must be true.
Right. Right. But I mean, I would say the same thing has become more and more true with news on television. I is my perception, which is why I do not get any news from television. Again, it goes double for social media, but the idea with television is that we're trying to sell more of our sponsors' products. So how can we get you to watch more? So funny, on one show, I was the associate director of one show, and I rolled in the wrong 10-second fee spot one day. And that afternoon, I was called up to the boss's office, and he was kind of a gruff guy. He talked like this, and he said, "Don't you get it? This show is wraparound for commercials." And a light bulb went off. Yeah, now I get it. We're here to sell the sponsor's products. So,
yeah, people got to make their money. Now, before I start to wrap things up, is there anything else you would like to share with the listeners today?
Well, I would say go to my website, which is kentw.net. Check out the book on Amazon. I think you can read the first chapter or two for free, and see if it makes sense and might help you in your travels through our fragmented world.
Great. Now, at the end of all my episodes, I do ask my guests a random question. So my question for you is, what grade in school was the most difficult?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I think it would be, in my time, middle school was called junior high. I think it would be entering junior high. 7th grade was the most difficult because I was transitioning from the elementary school where structure and people and things were all predictable into a vast new area where there were a lot more bullies and a lot more choices. And the classes went from not one teacher all day long to 6 different teachers for the 6 different periods. And so it was a difficult adjustment, I think.
All right, that brings this episode to a close. So as Kent mentioned, his website brings you directly to his book along with some other information. So that will be directly in the description if you'd like to check all of that out and find his book on Amazon. And of course, if you'd like to connect with the podcast, our website is in the description as well. It brings you to all of our past episodes, all of our past resources and social media from prior guests, along with links to our social media. We are on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So it's always great to have the support in following those pages. And if you'd like to support the podcast monetarily, there's a link to do that in the description as well. And if you have a story you would like to share and be a guest on the show, my email is in the description. That is always the best way to reach out to me. So thank you so much, Kent, for spending time with me today, and to my listeners for taking the time out of your day to hear a new story. Until next time, bye.
Bye-bye, and thanks for having me on, Sarah. I really appreciate it.